जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गौर प्रेमानंदे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिवांगी सबै चरण भक्तिदान स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती महाराज की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। किशोर किशोरी की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुदमाई की जय। गौनिताय की जय। श्री गोस्वामी की जय। गुरु परंपरा की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री महारानी की जय। So, we reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 50, 45 years. So, I was saying 52 verses 2 and 4. Okay, it seems like 52. Okay, now. 2 to 4, 10th, Canto 10, chapter 45, text 2 to 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaham Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna rescues his teacher's son. The verse is from 2 to 4. Hare Krishna. Uvacha pitro etyam Uvacha pitro etyam Sagraja Sattvarshabham Sagraja Sattvarishabham Sagraja Sattvarishabham Prasannayavanta prinam Prasnayavanata prinam Prasnayavanata prinam Prasnayavanatha prinam Prasnayavanatha prinam Amba tateti sadaram Peace. Yes, we would like to recite anybody else? Uvacha pitro etyam Sagraja Sattvarishabham Rasayavanatha prinam Amba tat eti sadaram. You want to recite? Okay. Word to word meaning. Uvacha, he said, Pitro, to his parents, Etya, approaching them, Sa, together with, Agraja, his elder brother, Lord Balrama, Satvata, of the Satvata dynasty, Rishabha, the greatest hero, Prasraya, with humility, Avanata, bowing down, Prinam, gratifying them, Amba, Tata iti, my dear mother, my dear father, Saidaram, respectfully. Okay, I'll read the translation and purport till 4. Lord Krishna, the greatest of the Sattvatas, approached his parents with his elder brother. Hum as follows. Nashmato Yashyate tata Nityaku api Balya Paugans and Mother Devaki always remained in anxiety and could never enjoy our childhood, boyhood or youth. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti discusses this verse as follows. One may object that at this point, Lord Krishna had not actually passed the Kaishora stage, aged 10 to 15, since the women of Mathura had stated, Kvachit Sukumangau Shiro Tata Yavano. Krishna and Balarama have very tender limbs, being still at the Kishora age stage, not having reached adolescence. Bhagavatam 10:44-48. The definition of the different stages of growing up is given as follows. Kaumaram panchamadantam, paugandam dashamavadi, kaishoram panchadashat, yavanam cha tataparam. The Kaumara stage lasts until the age of 5, Pauganda up the age 10, and Kaishora to the age of 15. From then on, one is known as Yavana. According to this statement, the Kaishora's period ends at the age of 15. Krishna was only 11 years old when he killed Kamsa. According to Uddhava's words, Ekadasha Sama, Tatta Gudharchi Sabalo Vashat. Like a covered flame, Lord Krishna remained there incognito with Balram for 11 years. Bhagavatam 3:2. And since Krishna and Balram never took Brahmanical initiation in Brajabhumi, it was at that time measurement of age. Yet we should consider the following statement from the Bhagavatam. Kalena alpena rajarshe Rama Krishnascha Matur Anjasha. O King Parikshit, we see that the son of a king, even while in the Pauganda stage of life, undergoes exceptional physical growth and exhibits activities appropriate to a Kaishura. Then what to speak of Lord Krishna, whose exceptional growth is established in the Vaishnava Toshnani, Bhaktara Samrit Sindhu, Ananda Vrindavan, Champo, and all other works. The 3 years and 4 months of Lord Krishna stayed in Mahavana were the equivalent of 5 years. We should understand that from this point, as the Lord remains forever Kishora. Thus, Vishwanath Chakravarti analyzes the intricacies of this verse. Na labdho daiva hataye vashanavava antike yam balapitrageha sta vindate lalita mudam. Deprived by fate, we could not live with you and enjoy the pampered happiness most children enjoy in their parents' home. Here Lord Krishna points out that not only did his parents suffer in separation from him and Balrama, but the two boys also suffered from their parents. Krishna is compared as his greatest of all, is called Sattvatas. So he is approaching his elder brother Balrama and he's bowing his head and respectfully addressing his mother and father. So in this chapter, we especially see that how Krishna is respecting his parents. So Vedic teachings are like that. One should honor our elders, one should give respect to them and take care of them, especially children or old people or those who are senior to us. Senior means spiritually advanced and physically also and external. So Lord Krishna is showing his examples, how he's addressing his parents as Balram, also Balram, his brother. Then in this second verse, it's said about Krishna's different stages of life, where he played, then studied, and he learned different stages of life that are explained here. He says here, dear father, and he's also saying how being from far away from his parents, how he missed his childhood pastimes. So Lord Krishna said, dear father, because of us, your two sons, you and mother Devaki, always remained in anxiety and could never enjoy our childhood, boyhood or youth. So separation from the parents, how Krishna is addressing his parents here, how you were in anxiety and we also could not enjoy our childhood and youth with our parents. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti discussed this verse as follows. One may object at that point, Lord Krishna had not actually passed the Kaishura stage. Ages 10 to 15 life here, 10 to 15 childhood. Lord Krishna had not actually passed the Kaishura stage, age 10 to 15. So this is different Sanskrit words they are using for childhood in the 10 to 15 called Keshura. Since the women of Mathura had stated, Kwa Chit Sukumang Kishora Naptiva. Krishna and Balrama have very tender limbs. So Krishna's every part is very soft, very tender. Being still at the Keshura stage, not having reached adolescence. The definition of the different stages of growing us is given as follows. The Kaumara stage lasts until the age of 5. So this in Sanskrit words until the age of 5 it's called Kaumara stage. Pavaganda up to the age 10 and Keshura at the age of 15. From then on one is known as Yavana. Yavana means not Yavana is there another word and this is Yavana. Yavana means young youth. Yavanas are called like the meat eaters, like there are different classes of meat eaters. So like this, yeah. But this Yavana is young means. According to the statement of Keshura age, end of the age of 15. Krishna was only 11 years old when he killed Kamsa. This is some. Krishna's pastimes are wonderful. Since 11 years Krishna is killing Kamsa, his the greatest demon. According to those words, Ekadashamatat Gita. Like a cold flame, Lord Krishna remained there ignorant to Balarama for 11 years. And since Krishna and Balaram never took Brahminic nation in Vrajabhumi, it was the age at the time they are going to Mathura and the Keshura stage began rather than ended. These objections to Lord Krishna's statement in the present was that his parents could not enjoy his Keshura stage. Is based as ordinary measurement of age. Yet we should consider the following statement from Bhagavatam. O King Parikshit, within a short time, Rama and Krishna began to walk very easily in Gokula, their legs by their own strength, without the need to crawl. Sometimes we see that the son of a king, even while in his Pavagana state, undergoes exceptional physical growth and exhibitional activities appropriate to Keshura. Then what to speak of Lord Krishna's exceptional growth is established in the Vaishnava Toshani, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Anand Vrindavan Champa and other works. So these are different books which are explaining the different stages of Krishna. It's mentioned here Vaishnava Toshani, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Ananda Vrindavana. There's different pastimes that in different stages of life. The 3 and 4 months that Lord Krishna stayed in Mahavana, the equivalent of 5 years for an ordinary child, and thus in that period he completed the Kaumara stage. The period from then age 6 to 8 months during which fixed lived in Vrindavan. His Pavaganda stage and the period from the age 6 to 8 months to his 10th year during which time he lived in Nandishwara, Nandagram. His Keshura stayed at the age of 10 years and 7 months on the 11th lunar day, fortnight of the month of Chaitra. He went to Mathura and the 14th day thereafter he killed Kamsa. Thus he completed his Keshura period at age 10. He eternally remains at that age. In other words, we should understand that from the point of the Lord remains forever a Keshura. So Krishna is always young, he says here. He only remains at the age of 10. But different, his pastimes were that till 10 he was in Vrindavan in different places. Then in 11 he went to Mathura to kill Kamsa. So different Keshura stage. Srila Vishwanath interviews. Deprived of the fate, we could not live with you and enjoy the pampered happiness and children enjoy with their parents' home. Here Lord Krishna points out that not only did his parents suffer in separation from him and Balarama, but the two boys also suffered in separation from their parents. The whole sum and substance, in this translation purport is different stages of Krishna's ages are mentioned here in different stage of life. Kaumara, Keshura, that. And how he missed his parents and how he's offering his respects to his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. So this whole pastimes, chapter 45, is about this thing here. Krishna is asking forgiveness from his parents. He's offering his respects to his parents, and the different Krishna and Balarama is there, Vasudeva and Devaki, these different personalities. Then his teacher Sandipa Muni, then the Panchagnya demon who was in the shape of a conch. Krishna is killing. Krishna is asking. So here I'm going to read this introduction here. This chapter describes how Lord Krishna consoled Devaki, Vasudeva, and Nanda Maharaj, and installed Ugrasena king. It also relates how Krishna and Balram completed their education, retrieved the dead son of their guru, and then returned home. So here we hear from this chapter how Krishna is consoling Devaki and Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj, and he is installing Ugrasena, the father of Kamsa, because Kamsa was very demonic king. He killed all the inhabitants. He first had compromised with all the kings. He made them under him, subjected under him, and he ruled the kingdom. Even he arrested his own father, Ugrasena. But Krishna is coming to establish religion there. So here it says, it's how Krishna and Balram completed their education, retrieved their darshan of their guru, and then returned home. Noting that his parents Vasudevaki had realized his true position as God, Sri Krishna expanded his yoga maya to again make them think of him as their dear child. Then with Lord Balrama, Krishna approached them and said how unhappy he was. Then they had been unable to enjoy the mutual status with parents and children who lived together. Then he stated, even in a lifetime of 100 years, no son can ever repay the debt he owes his parents, from whom he receives his very body. So this is a very nice statement here. Krishna is saying, even in a lifetime of 100 years, no son can ever repay the debt he owes his parents, from whom he receives his very body. Yes, no son can repay the debt of his parents. So parents are so much respected in Vedic scriptures. We can learn from here. Krishna is teaching this example here. And any capable son who fails to support his parents will be forced in the year after to eat his own flesh. Indeed, any person who does not maintain and nourish those under his care, children, wife, spiritual master, brahmana, elderly parents, and so on, is simply living a corpse. It is out of fear of Kamsa that we could not serve you. So now please forgive us. Vasudeva and Devaki, overcome with emotion upon hearing this verse of Sri Krishna's, embraced their two sons and ecstasy shed a torrent of tears. So this Vedic instruction are so, it's both ways. The parents also should take care of the children dependents, and the children also should take care of the parents. It says here, even in a lifetime of 100 years, no son can ever repay the debt he owes his parents, from whom he receives his very body. Any capable son who fails to support his parents will be forced in the year after to eat his own flesh. Indeed, any person who does not maintain and nourish those under his care, children, wife, spiritual master, brahmanas, elderly parents, and so on, is simply living corpse. It was out of fear of Kamsa that we could not serve you, so now please forgive us, Vasudeva and Devaki. Overcome with emotion upon hearing this verse of Sri Krishna, embrace the two sons, and in ecstasy shed a torrent of tears. So deep this spiritual life is like, dharma. Vedic injection says, called Dhira and Adhira. Dhira means who has controlled his senses. Adhira means who is not controlled his senses. The spiritual teaching is one has to become a Dhira. So most of us, we don't fall in this chapter character of Dhira. But Krishna consciousness means to come to the stage of Dhira. And Adhira means who has no control of his senses like that. Yeah. So, but Krishna consciousness is beneficial for both of us. So, both of them. Srila Prabhupada gave us this opportunity, everyone in this Kali Yuga, to come to this. So, this movement, Krishna consciousness, established all over the world. people take this knowledge of Krishna consciousness and apply in their life. So in this chapter, we especially see how Krishna, the importance of taking care of parents, children, wife, and spiritual master, brahmanas, elderly parents is very important. Otherwise, he is living a life of corpse. And not only in this life, in next life also he has to suffer, it says here. Otherwise, he is eating his own flesh, it says he has to eat his own flesh. We always sing in the morning, Shakshad Dharitvena Samasta Shastir Yuktastata Bhavyate Vasadvi Yasha Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado Yasha Prasadan Nagati Kutupi. One should honor the spiritual master as a representative of God. He should give respect as the Lord, like that. So deep. It's like, we this whole teachings are like only sense gratification is thought. So we are not coming in the category of Dhira. Dhira is like Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was not agitated in all circumstances. He was sent, Parvati was sent to agitate him. Yeah. So Shiva was not agitated. Yes. So taking care of parents, taking care of elders, taking care of brahmanas, respecting the elderly parents, spiritual master. Having thus satisfied his mother and father, Lord Krishna offered Kamsa's kingdom in his maternal grandfather Ugrasena, and then arranged for all his members who had fed in fear of Kamsa to return to their homes. Protected by the mighty arms of Krishna and Balarama, the Yadavas began to enjoy supreme bliss. So in whatever stage of Krishna consciousness we come, Krishna consciousness is all beneficial. It's never a waste. In this endeavor, there is no loss. In a little endeavor on this path can save us from the greatest danger of repeated cycle of birth. So it's more beneficial when you come in a young age, Kaumara. Because when we grow, it's very difficult, in old age to practice Krishna consciousness. I myself say of my weakness, like now this pandemic came and Omnicon came, the temple was closed and there was restrictions like that and many things like that. But one of my devotee friends, he was traveling all over, but all the temples were open there. Though in Baltimore they were admitted in the hospital also. But he said that, mostly only I think so, he said in Chicago and Phoenix, 2 places were there. But mostly he was traveling in Louisiana, then Talawan, then Houston, and I don't think Houston, but even most of these places, Phoenix, and he was saying that, devotee. So, yes, this pandemic has caused a fear for everyone. But Krishna consciousness, one should become fearless. We are not this body, we are soul. But everything fails in pandemic. One has to take precaution also, right? Everything has to be taken care. Because generally, when I know that when there is a sinus, these whole windows are closed everywhere. So there's no circulation of air, right? So I stayed here, so I'm saying. So generally, when one person has sinus, then everybody is affected by fever because it's closed. So what to say of this virus? Hare Krishna. So it's very difficult. Having satisfied, Lord Krishna and Balaram next approached Nanda Maharaj and praised for having cared so lovingly for them another sons. Krishna then said to Nanda, "Dear father, please return to Vraja. Knowing how much you and the other relatives are suffering in separation from us, Balarama and I will come to see you as soon as we have satisfied your friends here in Mathura." Krishna then worshipped Nanda with various offerings, and Nanda felt overwhelmed with love for his sons. And tearfully embracing Krishna and Balarama, he took the cowed men and departed for Vraja. Next, Vasudeva had his parents perform his son's rituals of second birth, Brahminical initiation. Krishna and Balram then went to Gargamuni to take the oath of brahmachari celibacy. Afterward, Krishna and Balrama, though omniscient, desired to reside at the school of his spiritual master. So here, Krishna and Balrama, along the coward band, they went to Vraja, and Vasudeva then performed his second birth Brahminical initiation. They went to Gargamuni, the astrologer, and then he took the oath of brahmachari life, celibacy life. So this is one of the importance of brahmachari celibacy life. If you stay in a temple, in the association of devotees, where everyone is serious in Krishna consciousness, we can practice this brahmacharical training life. It's very. So there are differences: brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. The 4 stages to progress in spiritual life, like that. So, especially in brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, one has to refrain from opposite objects. Only in householder life there is some there is some license, Prabhupada says here. So in Kali Yuga, it's everything is topsy-turvy, and I was hearing this from one of Navaraj was saying, now we don't have initiating spiritual master also. They became very less, 80 I think so they are said. So previous there was so much. So what action should we take, so Shiksha Guru's also importance is given there, the sound vibration, something. So he care from his childhood. They would a deity of the Supreme Sandapani, pleased by their service, imparted to them detailed knowledge of all Vedas, together with their words, corollaries of the Krishna and Balrama needed to hear each subject explained only once to assimilate it completely. So they heard only once only to assimilate this knowledge, Krishna and Balrama, and they could remember everything from the spiritual master. Here, explain only one. So what to say of Kali Yuga? What we did yesterday, at this time we have to recall. So what to say? Even if this Bhagavatam, after this one purport is gone, we forget, most of us. Anybody who has good smriti, that's nice. It's good remembrance. But before taking leave of their guru, the 2 lords offered Sandipani and gift he desired. The wise Sandipani Singh, so the importance of brahmachari is given. And brahmachari, celibate life, we can remember very nicely like that. In other words, one has to control his senses. He has to follow the scriptural injunctions. Sadhu Guru offered Sandipani gift he desired. The wise Sandipani Singh, the amazing prowess, request that they bring back his son who had died in the ocean of Pravash. So Krishna's teacher, Krishna asked that, how can I serve you? So Sandipani said, he desired that his son be brought to life. He was killed by a demon in ocean, Prabhasha, So Krishna and Balarama mounted a chariot, went to Prabhasha, where they approached the shore and worshipped the present deity of the ocean, asked the ocean to return his spiritual master's son, and the Lord of the ocean replied that a demon dwelling within the ocean named Panchagna had taken the boy away. Hearing this, Sri Krishna entered the ocean, killed the demon, and took the shell that had grown from this body. But when Krishna did not find his Guru's son within the demon's belly, he went to the planet of Yamraja, the Lord of Death. Yamraja came forward. When he heard Krishna blow the Panchagna shell and devotedly worship him, Lord Krishna then asked Yamraja for Sandipani's son, and Yamraja immediately gave him to the 2 lords. Krishna and Balram then returned to their spiritual master and presented him with his son, requesting him to choose yet another favor. But Sandipani replied that having by obtained disciple, them all his desires were fulfilled. He thus instructed them to return home. Krishna and Balram traveled to their home chariot, and upon their arrival, all the citizens became unlimitedly ecstasy, them just like persons who have regained a lost treasure. So these 2 things, different stages of Krishna's stage of life, how Krishna learnt in the ashram of, in from childhood he was learning these Vedic teachings. He was initiated, and then he had accepted a guru, Sandipa Muni. He learnt under his instructions, and how the teacher, first of all, he asked his forgiveness for his parents, Vasudev and Devaki. So this teaching teaches that how one should respect their parents, their teachers, the brahmanas, and the elderly people. And how in both ways, parents should take care of the children, and children also should take care of the parents. Otherwise, it's condemned here in spiritual injections. And the next verse was the demon Panchagnya on the order of his spiritual master's instruction, because the teacher's son was killed by this demon, and he was taken into the ocean Prabhasha, and Krishna regained the son by killing the demon. So this chapter explains about that. So I will be reading of how Srila Prabhupada also in all his letters he addressed, my dear sons, he was giving honor to his disciples like that, my dear sons, my dear daughters. Srila Prabhupada also had 2 sons, 2 daughters, like that. But so Dhira and Adhira is so one has controlled his senses. Adhira means one who has not controlled his senses. So we can learn from teachings of Rishabha. It's a very nice teachings. Here I'll be going to read from there. The 8th incarnation of King Rishabha, son of King Nabi, and his wife Merudevi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. So the incarnation of Rishabha, in Bhagavad Gita also it said like one who has controlled his senses is very dear to everyone. Everyone is dear to him also. In this also similarly he says, Lord Krishna, he says, Lord, the 8th incarnation was King Rishabha, son of King Nabi, and his wife Merudevi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses, who are honored by all orders of life. So, one who has controlled his senses, they are honored by all orders of life. This in a grahastha or a brahmachari as master sannyasi. And how after separation from his real parents, he asked for apology. So much Vedic injunction teaches us one has to honor the brahmanas, the spiritual master, the elderly persons, and not only that, the children also has to take care of the parents. If not, then they are condemned in this life, or they are living like a ghost life or corpse life, in another sense. And in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving in Srimad Bhagavatam the story of incarnation of King Rishabha. He was the 8th incarnation of Lord. He showed the path of perfection by controlling the senses, and they are honored. So there are some important words in this verse. The first word is Dhiranam. Dhiranam means sober, gentle. There are 2 ways, because there are 2 kinds of people in the world. One is called Dhira and other is called Adhira. So Dhira means he is not disturbed in all situations. He has controlled his senses, body, mind, sense, everything like that. And other is called Adhira. The whole teaching of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada also says, Bhagavad Gita is for the less intelligent class of people, like, 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, 4th chapter. We go through this, it's all explaining about control the senses, control the mind, in order to advance in Krishna consciousness. But here in this teaching, Srila Prabhupada says, there are 2 classes of people. Hare Krishna. There are 2 classes of people. They are called Dhira and Adhira. Dhirana means sober, because there are 2 kinds of people in this world. One is called Dhira and other is called Adhira. Adhira means almost animal. they cannot control the senses. So there's two peoples like. So Srimad Bhagavatam, we read in this introduction how Krishna was learned, he was initiated, he learned this knowledge, he was under the guidance of spiritual master from his very childhood. So in present age, we have not got this education. So we don't come in the character of Dhira. Dhira is a very high stage. But Krishna consciousness is beneficial for both Dhira and Adhira. It says, one is called Dhira and other is called Adhira. Adhira means almost animal. It's just animal, He just knows eating, sleeping, nothing. They cannot control the senses, the Dhira. One who can control senses is called Dhira. In Rupa Goswami's obeisance we find Krishna Kirtana Ganartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Dhira Priyakaro. Sat Goswami Astika. Krishna Kirtana. The Krishna consciousness movement is appreciable by both classes, Dhira and Adhira. Those who are advanced by austerities, controlling the senses, and those who are not so very fallen, both of them, Dhira Dhira, Jana Priyo, Priyakaro, Nirmatsaro. So Srila Prabhupada says, this Krishna consciousness movement is appreciable by both classes, Dhira and Adhira. Those who are advanced by austerities, controlling the senses, and those who are not so very fallen, both of them. So both of them can benefit, it says, by following austerities, controlling this. Another example of Dhira is there in Kaumara, Kumara Sambhava. Kumara Sambhava is a Sanskrit book, which I think we read in our college, by Kalidas poet, Kalidas. So this theme of that book is that the demigods, they wanted to fight with the demons. It was necessary that a son should be begotten by Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva at that time lost his wife in the Daksha Yajna. She gave up his life, her life. There was some misunderstanding between Maharaj Daksha, father of Parvati or Durga. So she gave up her life because of her father was against Lord Shiva. He was repudiating Lord Shiva, and she could not tolerate that. My father, you are so proud that you are blaspheming Lord Shiva because you think that I am your daughter and your son-in-law is subordinate. So I am returning to this body to you. So she immediately gave up her body. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear about the story of Lord Shiva and his wife Sati. Sati was very chaste to her Shiva. So there was a misunderstanding between Maharaj Daksha, the father of Parvati or Durga. He says, she was that, see, I'm your daughter, means Parvati was Sati actually. In India, Parvati is given. She was insulted, Shiva was insulted by his fathers, Parvati's father, so she gave up her body. So Lord Shiva, having lost his wife, he was on the Himalayas executing severe tapasya. So the demigods, they planned to break the tapasya meditation of Lord Shiva by sending Parvati, daughter of Himalaya. Lord Shiva's wife then took birth as daughter of Himalaya. So she was Sati in Bifana, then she was born as the daughter of Himalaya. So when she was young, grown up, 16 years old, she was engaging in breaking the meditation of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva was in meditation, naked, and Parvati was induced to worship Lord Shiva and touch the genital. But Lord Shiva still was undisturbed. So at that time, Kalidas Kavita, then the great example of Dhira, he is so much absorbed in meditation that a young girl still is undisturbed. He is so self-controlled. So the example is Shiva. So this is Dhira. Dhira means even there is a cause of disturbance, he will not be disturbed. That is Dhira. One who is disturbed by the slight agitation is not Dhira, he is Adhira. So the most people are Adhira. So Srila Prabhupada says here, mostly people are Adhira. They are agitated by a slight disturbance because they have not been trained in such a way. So this training is so much important. So we can hear from these pastimes of Krishna. He was brought up in his education, he was under his parents' care, then he got a teacher, spiritual master, then he was initiated in Brahman initiation. So in Kali Yuga, the whole atmosphere is this, there is no restrictions. Here there is a training of brahmachari is given, There's no intermingling, in other words, like that. They're training us. There says the example of Shiva. Otherwise, just like Krishna was being elected president in the Rashtriya Yagna. Maharaj used somehow this man, because those who are blind, they would see Krishna, an ordinary man. He is a human hunter from the very beginning. How he can be elected? So at that time, Bhishma, the most celebrated brahmachari, he never accepted any wife or he had no connection with any woman. He immediately stood up. He said that I am celebrated throughout the whole world as a brahmachari. But if I had been in the position of Krishna, he was dancing with young girls, but he was not agitated. But I would have been agitated, I admit. Therefore is Dhira. He should be elected. You will find in Raslila, Krishna was dancing with so many young girls. But there was any sex relation, there was nothing like, so that is Dhira. So here it says, so Krishna was to be elected as the, in the Rajasuya, as the topmost person, like by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So there was an objection, He said, how he say, human enter, how he can be elected? It's always in the midst of women, like that. So this is very important here, it says. So at that time, Bhishma, the most celebrated brahmachari, he never accepted any wife, or he had no connection with any woman. He had no connection with any woman. So this, in a householder life, there is some this, but in another ashrams like Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, and Brahmachari, there should be no interconnection, like he says here. He immediately, but the training is not there in present age. He immediately stood up. He said that I am, even in the past time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was as a sannyasi. He would never interact with women. He would stay far away. Like, even he went to meet Prataprudra king. He did not approach him, because that's the principle of Krishna consciousness, that intermingling, he says here. He said that I am throughout the whole world as a brahmachari, but if I would have been in the position of Krishna, he was dancing with young girls, but he was not agitated, but I would have been agitated. I admit, therefore is Dhira. He should be elected. So Bhishma Dev is in favor of Krishna. He's giving the example. Though I led a whole life of brahmachari, but if I would been in the midst of women, I would have surely be agitated. But he was not that. So we can learn from these things like this, so much importance in our spiritual life. You will find Krishna was dancing with so many young, but you won't find that there was anything. There was nothing like that, so that is Dhira. They were devotees, gopis. They used to come to Krishna, but there is no such thing written as pregnancy and abortion. No, nothing of sort. That is called Dhira. That in spite of presence, the cause of disturbance. The gopis came to Krishna because he was a very beautiful young boy. Actually, they were attracted by his beauty. That is stated, Kamat. They came as lust, but when they came to Krishna, they became purified. So the gopis, they came in lust, but because Krishna was a very young, beautiful young boy, and especially when young people, the man is attracted to woman is attracted by, that's the age stage. But Krishna was not. But when they came in touch of Krishna, they became purified. The gopis want Krishna, so Krishna gave them chance. The gopis want Krishna as husband. They made tapasya, have Krishna as husband. But that time Krishna, the gopis and Krishna were of the same age, just the boys and girls between. But girls became at the age of 12, 13, the sex has become strong. So particularly in the age of 13, 12, the girls' sex becomes strong. But boys, they do not become so strong unless they are badly associated. This association is very important, like that. So that education is not given in people of Kali Yuga. From young in school, education is compared to like slaughter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. No, it's gone, bro. Hare Krishna. The Supreme was described as Urukrama, means one who is very wonderful, which is not possible, ordinary man. So it's not possible by any ordinary human being, is said. Krishna's name is Uruka. So he wanted to show the real path of life, real life. We cannot imitate what Krishna did, like here he says. So instructions are in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He instructed his sons, my dear boy, this human form of life is not meant for sense enjoyment, which is available in the life of dogs and hogs. It was his instruction. He instructed that humans should be dhira, self-control. That is the ideal human society. That is Vedic civilization. Here it is stated, Sarva Ashrama Namaskatam. Sarva Ashrama. I have several described that the Brahmacharya Ashram, Grahastha Ashram, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi Ashram, Sarva Ashram, all orders of life, one ashram, is based on four varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and four. Brahmachari Grahastha Vanaprastha. So the Lord Rishabdev planned in such a way, teach his sons. He had 100 sons that it will be honored by all ashramas. Out of his 100 sons, 9 became sannyasis. No Yogendra, very highly elevated spiritually, 9 sons and 81 sons. Out of 100, 91 sons, so out of them 11 became Kshatriyas, other became Brahmanas. So Rishabdev had 100 sons, out of that 9 took to sannyasa ashram and others they became Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. So this proves that not by birth one becomes Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, but it's a different qualification. Otherwise, how Rishabdev's son, he was Kshatriya, so to be Kshatriya, so his son also Kshatriya. How they became Brahmana? So that was Vedic culture. Janmaneti jayate Shudra. As soon one is born, he is accepted as a Shudra. Neither Brahmana nor Kshatriya, but by training either he becomes a Brahmana or Kshatriya. So, like a man has got several sons, but all of them in the beginning, they are illiterate. Now in the grown-up age, by different department, one becomes a medical practitioner, one becomes engineer, one becomes lawyer, one becomes vagabond. So not by birth one becomes engineer or medical man. No, everything by culture, by education. Similarly, in the Vedic culture means everyone is given the chance to become first-class Brahmana. So in this Vedic teachings, all educations are there. That is called Brahmanical culture. Everyone is given, because without becoming a Brahmana, nobody can understand what is God. And that human life is meant, and that is the only business of human form of life. Not like cats and dogs, how to eat, how to sleep, not have sense gratification, how to defend. These are animals. The birds, beasts, they know how to do. The Rishabdev thought that, my dear sons, this life, human life, is not to be wasted like hawks and dogs, and in there amongst the hawks, better facility, no restriction. In human society, at least there is some restriction. Matra swastra. The Prabhupada says, do not want to discuss, they have relation within their mother, sister, and daughter. It was formally not, it's not like that, very common. But Shastra says, Matra swastra duita va navi Krishna. You do not sit down to in a secluded place, even with your mother, with your sister, with your daughter. So people may say one becomes agitated by associating mother, sister, and daughter. Many fools are most degraded. Shastra says, Balavan Indriya Gramamitamsha. The senses are strong that even one is very learned, he becomes agitated. He becomes agitated even in the presence of mother, sister, and daughter. So these restrictions are given. One should not remain with the mother, sister, and daughter. The senses are so strong, even a very learned person can be agitated. That's the Vedic injection. So sense, what to speak of other? Therefore, the common moral teaching of Vedic is to accept any woman except his own wife as mother. Matravat pareshu paradari. Everyone is supposed to be married. Duru means wife, Paradereshu, other's wife. It doesn't matter if she is younger or older, but she should be treated as mother. Therefore, it is a system in Vedic culture. As soon as one sees another woman, she is addressed as mother, Mataji. That makes the relation. The woman treats the unknown man as son, and the unknown man treats the unknown woman as mother. That is Vedic. So we should be very careful. In our society, you are all God brothers, God sisters. Those who are married, they are like mothers. So you should be very careful. Then you will remain dhira. So this is a very good point here. Prabhupada says, so we should be very careful in our society. You are all God brothers, God sisters, or those who are married, they are like mothers. So you should be very careful. Then you will remain dhira. That is Brahmanical qualification, Brahmanical culture. Not that because I have got facilities to intermingle with nice girls, so I shall take advantage and exploit them, or the girls shall take to. Therefore, our restriction, no. One has to become dhira. Then the question of God consciousness. Animals cannot have God conscious. Therefore, it is specially mentioned, Dhiranam. The path which he showed is meant for the Dhira, not for the Dhira. As soon as Sarvashrama, ashramas will appreciate and offer obeisances. All ashrama means Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Prastha, and Sannyas. So we should offer respect to all this ashrama. So dealing with women, especially instructions are given to men. All with their experiment for instruction to the men. Woman is to follow the husband. That's all. The husband will give instruction to the wife. There is no such thing as a girl should go to school to take Brahmacharya ashram or go to spiritual master to take instruction. That is not Vedic system. So here is another one point. So dealing with women, especially instruction are given to men, he says. All literatures, all Vedic literatures, they are especially meant for instruction to the men. Woman is to follow the husband. That's all. The husband will give instruction to the wife. There is no such thing as the girl should go to school to take brahmacharya ashram or go to the spiritual master to take instruction. That is not Vedic system. Wow. Hare Krishna. He says here, there is no such thing as the girl should go to school to take a brahmacharya ashram or go to spiritual master to take instruction. That is not Vedic instruction. She should take instruction from her husband, he says. But Srila Prabhupada was very liberal. He came to this country. There's no thing like brahmachari ashram, brahmacharini ashram, right? Because in Western countries, we don't have a scarcity of this. Vedic system is a man is fully instructed, and woman, girl must be married to a man. Even the man may have many wives. The man may have many wives. Polygamy is still, every woman should be married, and she would get instruction from the husband. This is Vedic system. Woman is not allowed to go to school, college, or to the spiritual master, but the husband and wife, they can be initiated. That is Vedic system. So yes, the Vedic woman is not allowed to go to school or college or the spiritual master, but husband and wife, they can be initiated. That is the Vedic system. So husband and wife, they both can be initiated. That is also the Vedic system. Because people must be all gentle and then talk of Krishna and God. If he is animal, what he can understand? This is Vedic system. Dhira means must be gentle, perfect gentle, must address all women as mother. This is a training. One should consider one's wife as mother, and this money like garbage in the street. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Others' money as garbage, she says. And consider one's mother. Nobody cares for it. Similarly, others' money should not be touched. Even it is somebody has forgotten his purse, money bag once, nobody will touch it. Let the man come back and take it. That is civilization. Paradreveshu. Goes on. Nice. Hare Krishna. Any comments, any questions? Hare Krishna. Yes. Say something, Prabhu. My weakness, Hare Krishna. Because since Gopalanand, I was to get up at 2 o'clock, at 2:30, I change my timing, and then 10 o'clock, then I go to
Thank you for your class. And my question is about Kishore, the Kishore age, because we have the deities Kishore, Kishori. I was wondering if you could say anything.
that came to my mind when Srila Prabhupada said, let's save Kishori, the best for the last, like that. All deities' names are Radha Krishna, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Govind, but Srila Prabhupada gave this deity's name Kishori, like that. Young. Krishna is always young, we read in this. No, he never passes the age of 10. Save the best. Yes, the super soul reciprocates. I was reading, this thing came in my mind. Srila Prabhupada said, we save the best for the Kishore. And you are reciprocating. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for your interest and enthusiasm, specifically enthusiasm, how you are so powerfully, forcefully presenting. That's very nice. And here in this slokas, specifically in sloka number 3, you can find how Krishna's different ages has been described. That is, one shloka Prabhupada has mentioned in purport also, that he has Kumara age, and that is 1 to 5. Then from 5 to 10 is Poganda, and 10 years to 15 years, that is your Kaiswara. And after 15, Jauvana, which doesn't change after that. Krishna remains always youthful, ever youthful. Yeah. So also here is a contradiction. That is how they have explained that our devotees, senior devotees, those Hridayananda Maharaj and others, they have explained in purpose that how some devotee they may argue, how is that Krishna, it has been mentioned here as Yovana, at the Yovana age he killed Kansa, something like that, it is a contradiction. Yeah. So contradiction means he is explaining that Prabhupada gives an arguments like, sometimes some son of a king or son of a very rich man or a strongest person, he may increase in his size irrespective to his age. So sometimes, we can see one boy is coming here, Atmaram. He's very tall. He looks like maybe 25 years, 30 years, but in fact he's not. So he's very less, maybe sometimes 18 years or 19 or 20 years. So, but they looks like that. So similarly, Krishna, the being Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was looking very mighty. And he looks like, he's above his age. That was the secret point. That is what they're arguing. And in fact, it has been mentioned that when he came to kill Kansa, that time he was only 10 years, 7 months. He left Vrindavan and he came to here. 10 years, 7 months. And on Ekadasi day, he left Vrindavan. And he on Chaturdashi, he killed Kansa. So that was 10 years, 7 months means it is Kaiswara. So Kaiswara is. So in other scripture it is mentioned, in Yauvana. So because here, in this next verse it has been mentioned that, so Krishna himself is telling, oh, my mother, my father, we are so unfortunate and we could not spend time with you in our youth times. He is mentioning. So the confusion is, how could he say? Other people they think, how could he say, he spent youth in Vrindavan. Although he is materially, if you will calculate, he is only 10 years, 7 months. So how could he achieve his yovana, youth? That's why it is very nicely explained in purport. That's why we should not calculate materially the age of Krishna. He was always Navajovanancha. He is always ever youthful. One cannot, although he stayed in this material world for 125 years, but he was looking always youth, ever youthful. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam is very difficult to understand. Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yoga.